Hello everyone, Unit 4, Day 4. I am experiencing some problems logging into my ASU. I've been trying to log on for the past hour or so, and I've contacted Arizona State University, and I guess they're actually experiencing an outage, so I don't think any of us are able to access our Arizona State accounts, so I'm not able to log into the class. The only video response I was able to see was this morning from Sarah. So I haven't been able to see anything from anyone else. I'm sorry, guys. I also saw Shannon, you wrote on my video submission last that you appreciated the example that I used, Okami, and how you were enthusiastic about Japanese culture and stuff, and I definitely share your sentiments. So I'm only going to be able to respond to you, Sarah. Hopefully Arizona State will be able to get the website back up and running so that we can all, continue the conversation for the last day. Sarah, you ended your last video submission asking us all a question as to why we feel like we need to put things into categories and put things into boxes in order to understand them or appreciate them. And you also said I should be an ambassador for video games, so thank you very much. That was nice to hear. I'm glad that you and you and Shannon were able to, I don't know, appreciate what I was trying to communicate. I know that not everybody's, savvy with video games and stuff, so I was a little worried that you guys might not be, as engaged. So I'm glad I was able to reach you guys. But to answer your question, I don't know why we feel that need. I feel like that might be like just a psychological thing, like as human beings, I think that it's a lot easier for us to grasp concepts and for us to understand things if we're able to put them into a category. I feel like that might be a little kind of, relating to video games and art. That might be the case in that some people are unable to make that connection that, okay, video games, art, those are in the same box, those are in the same category. It's not immediately, apparent, because when you think about art, you don't think about video games firsthand. Sometimes you don't even think about like film or like interior design or things like that. Usually, I think to the average person, whenever somebody is, asked about art, they immediately think within, the most obvious context, like museums, statues that are out in the environment for everyone to see. Trying to think of like what other obvious examples of art there are. Music. Well, I mean, some people would make the argument that a lot of music these days is solely for the purpose of entertainment, but I like to think that there's a little art that goes into whatever music you're listening to. Like, yeah, you got pop music and music that's created for the sake of entertainment and purely for the sake of, dance. But again, I like to think that, there's a little bit of art in that, a little bit of art in everything. Again, I think I'm kind of straying from the topic, but again, I'm not able to log into the website. I'm not able to see what you guys have been discussing and how you've been furthering the conversation. I hope the website's back up soon. I don't know why we have to put everything into categories. That was a really surprisingly deep question. Like, as to why I do it personally, it's just so that I can understand things, so that I can grasp things, so that I have a little bit of a sense that I have control over my environment to a certain extent. You know, like I have a reasonable amount of expectation when undergoing a certain event based upon prior exposure, of course. So based upon, you know, my basic understanding of, you know, whatever topic, whatever have you, it's like, okay, I guess you can consider that putting something into a box or putting something into a category. Like, you know what you're getting yourself into when you access that topic might be the same way of saying that. I suppose when it comes to people, you know, I think, Sarah, you said this too, people don't necessarily like to be put into boxes, be put into categories. I know I don't, certainly. We all face our own stereotypes, and we all face our own, you know, hardships and stuff, but I don't think, I do my best to not stereotype people or to put people into a box. Gosh, let me say something tangible that pertains to computer generated art. I don't know. I think it's still a relatively new genre of art. It hasn't been around for very long. It's been around for maybe a few decades. When you compare it to art that's been around for a long time, which you can call traditional art, say the pyramids being an obvious example, the pyramids themselves, and also, you know, what they contain within, that can be considered, is considered traditional art, in that it's been around for a long time. It was the status quo for a very long time in society. Technology is only just now becoming the status quo, to where it's still hard to put it into a category. And even when we do, we might mistakenly exclude certain things. When you're, you know, when you're discussing art in the world of technology, like video games, example, I would like to say that the manufacturing, the design of, say, a smartphone is an art form. You know, take the iPhone, for example. Apple takes a great amount of pride in the design of their products, you know, how their devices look, how their devices are used, you know, how they create that interface. It's sort of like how I talked about concept art and storyboarding. You know, as a designer for an app or an interface, you not only sculpt the interface based upon the device that it is displayed on, but you use the interface based upon user feedback. I think, Sarah, you said something about how video games, the developers of video games and the users of video games have sort of a silent dialogue with one another. And I think that that can be applied to a lot of things in the digital world. You know, like you totally hit the nail on the head when you said that. You know, video games nowadays, you can have direct contact with a video game developer as, you know, a user of their video game, and have things changed. I'm trying to think of an example, perhaps maybe pertaining to Okami. Okami started off as, it was Okami is it was released a few years ago. To use a more contemporary example, I guess I would use say, like, I don't know. The point that I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to say is that you can have a dialogue with a video game developer, and if enough people speak out about a certain thing, then something in the video game can be changed in the form of like something like a software update. So it creates that dialogue between the artist and the person who's experiencing their art, so that they have an influence on the art that they're being shown. That was an interesting thing that you brought up that I didn't think about before. So that was cool. I think I've run out of things to say. I wish the website was working so that I could see what you're all saying. Hopefully it gets fixed by the end of the night. Thank you for listening to me. If the website, gets back up and running, I'll be able to actually post this video. It was a really cool week. I enjoyed discussing everything that we discussed. Made me think about technology in a different way when it comes to art. How technology is used, how it was used. It was just really cool. I'm really digging this class. Thank you guys very much. I hope you have a good weekend. Bye.